spirit warriors. There's a reason the universe doesn't play fair when it comes to a chosen one, and it's not about favoritism, it's about spiritual law. A chosen one is someone anointed for a specific purpose, tethered to divine timing and shielded by invisible forces beyond human comprehension. When someone tries to interfere with that alignment, they're not just committing a moral misstep, they're breaking into a system calibrated by the hand of God himself. And just like tampering with the circuitry of a high-voltage machine, the backlash isn't mild, it's devastating. That's because the chosen aren't protected by coincidence, they're protected by covenant. Somewhere right now, in the stillness of realms you can't see, a force walks beside you, cloaked, silent, yet always alert. It isn't interested in small talk, it doesn't flinch at spiritual warfare, it doesn't sleep, and it sure doesn't need permission. This isn't just protection, it's divine enforcement, pre-programmed to act when the mission is threatened. Think of it this way, the same God who instructed the Red Sea to part for Moses, who shut the mouths of lions for Daniel, and who used a shepherd boy to defeat a giant, he's the one behind your assignment. He doesn't outsource your safety, and while you might not see the shield, you'll feel its presence when the attack comes. That force senses danger before it's formed. It knows when you're being watched, envied, or silently sabotaged. And when that energy rises against you, it doesn't retaliate to feed your ego. It restores the balance to fulfill a higher plan. Sometimes that means removing people, breaking down plans formed in the dark, or flipping the very traps set for your downfall. You may feel like you're fighting alone, but you're not. Because what guards you isn't muscle or popularity, it's purpose, it's destiny, it's every tear you've cried, every time you chose faith over fear, and every whispered prayer you thought no one heard. Those moments weren't ignored, they were logged into the divine ledger. And when heaven remembers, it moves, fast. Here's what most people miss. Those who go against a chosen one doesn't realize they're challenging more than just a person. They're challenging the order of something sacred. And the fall is never dramatic at first. It begins quietly. Plans unravel, confidence shakes, peace disappears, and by the time they realize what they've done, the consequence has already begun to echo through their lives. That's why you must walk boldly, not arrogantly, but boldly, because you are not random, you are remembered. And if you're still breathing, it means your mission isn't finished. It's only getting louder. So rise up, warrior. The light you carry isn't just for your own path, it's for every soul still stumbling in the dark, looking for proof that purpose exists. Share this energy. Speak this truth. Someone needs your voice to remind them they're not forgotten. You're not just protected, you're positioned. And no one, no matter how clever, can stop what heaven has already set in motion. Keep going. Point 1, your energy is sacred and people feel it. You don't walk into a room unnoticed, not because you're loud, flashy, or demanding, but because your spirit walks ahead of you. That kind of presence, it can't be faked. It's the aura of someone who's been through fire, purified by truth, and now walks in purpose. Even when you try to play it cool, keep it low-key, and blend into the background, your energy refuses to shrink. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. That kind of inner power makes people turn their heads without knowing why. It's not that you say, "Don't mess with me." It's that your soul radiates it. Spirit warrior. What you carry is rare. It's not just confidence. It's spiritual authority. That kind of vibration disrupts spaces built on illusion. You can walk into a room full of pretenders and suddenly people get uncomfortable, agitated even, because your presence silently calls out everything fake. You don't have to speak. The way you stand, the way you observe, the way you simply are, exposes everything that's out of alignment. And that bothers people who are still living in lies. You didn't even do anything, but now you're the topic of side eyes and whispers. Why? Because energy doesn't lie, but people do. And when truth enters, lies scramble. You walking in your purpose forces others to confront the fact that they've abandoned theirs. Your calm confidence reminds them of every excuse they've made for playing small. Your refusal to shrink shows them that they could rise too, if they weren't so busy pretending. That's why the gossip starts. That's why the shade comes. But here's the kicker. Your energy is too high to be touched by low vibrations. In fact, it doesn't just repel drama. It activates guardians around you. Have you ever noticed that when someone throws shade at you in public, a stranger will step in to defend you, or someone who barely knows you will go out of their way to have your back. That's not random. That's spiritual protocol. Your energy is so clean, so powerful, that the universe dispatches protectors to keep distractions away from your path. It's not because you're fragile, it's because your mission is sacred. You're here to build, to lead, to wake up the sleeping. The world needs what you carry, so it sends help when nonsense tries to interfere. In the animal kingdom, certain creatures are protected not because they're weak, but because they play a vital role in the ecosystem. You, spirit warrior, are that rare species. You carry codes, wisdom, and truth, and that makes you a target and a treasure. So while low-vibe people may try to disturb your peace, they often find themselves mysteriously blocked, exposed, or corrected. Sometimes by people they didn't even know were watching. This is what divine favor looks like. You don't have to clap back, explain yourself, or even engage. Just stay in alignment, stay on purpose, because your energy is the message. And when you walk into a room, the real ones feel it, the fake ones fear it, and the universe, it clears the way. You're not intimidating because you're loud. You're intimidating because you're real, and real is rare. Point 2, spiritual contracts are real. Have you ever met someone who's ready to ride for you like you all have been through 7 lifetimes together? They protect you, defend your name, and sense your moods without you saying a word. And you can't explain why the bond feels ancient. That's not just vibes or chemistry, spirit warrior. That's a soul covenant, a spiritual contract inked in the higher realms before either of you even touched this earth. Long before you were born, alliances were made, alliances of light. Some souls volunteered for one sacred task, to walk beside you when the mission gets heavy. Science might not be able to fully quantify this kind of soul-to-soul connection, but spirituality has been talking about it since ancient times. Indigenous tribes, mystics, and even early Christian Gnostics believed that soul groups, often called soul families, were assigned specific collective missions. These soul families reincarnate across different timelines, roles, and bodies, always finding each other when the divine clock strikes go. That one friend who showed up during your darkest moment, that stranger who spoke life into you without knowing your story, chances are they're part of your spiritual crew. You see, not all warriors carry swords. Some carry presence. Some guard you with prayer. Some disarm spiritual attacks by simply being in your life. These are your divine bodyguards. They're the ones who feel like home in a world that's often chaotic. They're not loud about their loyalty, but they're fierce, focused, and divinely assigned. This isn't about coincidence. This is about cosmic precision. You didn't just bump into these people, you reconvened with them. What's even more powerful is that many spirit warriors don't even consciously know the full scope of their assignment. They just know they have to protect you, uplift you, and call out your greatness when the world tries to dim your light. It's as if their soul is whispering instructions from the other side of the veil. This phenomenon is backed by what spiritual psychologist Dr. Michael Newton called soul contracts in his groundbreaking work, where he documented thousands of deep regression hypnosis sessions revealing pre-birth agreements between souls. According to these sessions, some souls choose to incarnate as protectors, mentors, catalysts, or even temporary disruptors to steer us closer to our purpose. And spirit warrior, let's be real. You've probably played this role too. You've likely been someone else's soul shield without even knowing it. You've shown up in someone's storm as their calm. You've stood between someone and their collapse. That's not random kindness. That's ancient responsibility. A sacred duty you agreed to, and now you're fulfilling it in real time. So next time you feel that unexplainable pull towards someone, don't brush it off. When a bond moves fast but feels rooted like a redwood tree, that's soul recognition. When someone defends you before you even ask, when they hold space for your pain without needing details, that's a warrior on assignment. These are the ones who don't need applause or titles. They're fueled by purpose, not performance. In a world full of surface-level connections and temporary cliques, spiritual warriors are rare. But when they show up, everything shifts. Your energy stabilizes, your vision clears, your path gets a little lighter because someone else is holding a piece of your spiritual weight. They didn't just meet you, they remembered you, and now they're fulfilling their side of the divine deal. So honor those bonds, nurture them, protect them, because every spirit warrior in your life is proof that even in chaos, the divine keeps its promises. Point 3, God doesn't play about you. Let's be real. Some people only learn when life decides to knock on their front door wearing a leather jacket, steel-toed Timbs, and an attitude from heaven. Boundaries? Yeah, they heard you say it, but they didn't feel it. That's the problem. They took your kindness for permission. They mistook your peace for passivity. But Spirit Warrior, you're not built to beg for respect. You're wired to embody it. And when people can't grasp that with their ears, God makes sure they understand with experience. See, spiritual laws are real. Just because they aren't visible doesn't mean they don't exist. Galatians 6:7 says, "Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever one sows, that will he also reap." Translation, you can't plant disrespect in a chosen one's soil and expect to grow favor. That's not how divine math works. So when someone crosses you, when they step out of line thinking your silence is weakness, the universe, under divine authority, begins rearranging things. Suddenly they're confused, their plans glitch, their luck evaporates like steam on a mirror. And it looks random, but oh no, that's divine enforcement. You ever noticed how some people's mood changes around you, like they're suddenly irritated or anxious for no reason? That's not your imagination, that's spiritual resistance. Your aura confronts their unhealed demons without you saying a word. Your presence alone causes discomfort because you carry truth, and truth has a way of uncloaking everything fake. You didn't raise your voice, you didn't throw shade, you just walked in the room and lies started choking. That's spiritual authority, Spirit Warrior. And it comes standard with your anointing. And don't underestimate divine timing either. 1 minute someone's scheming against you, and the next, they're dealing with a crisis they didn't see coming, a missed opportunity, a closed door, a friend who pulls away. These aren't coincidences. These are heaven's chess moves. Every time you've been targeted, emotionally, spiritually, even financially, God has a counterattack that doesn't just defend you, but teaches them. Because it's never just about protecting you, it's about awakening them too. Grace is God's first language, but when people keep trying you, he will speak in thunder. Even those mysterious people who step in out of nowhere, yeah, that's not random either. That stranger who had your back, that mentor who dropped a word just in time, that friend who blocked someone's gossip before it reached your ears, all of it was arranged. Sometimes God sends warriors in human form to carry out his protection plan. The Spirit Warrior path is never traveled alone. Heaven walks with you. The thing is, being chosen isn't just about favor. It's about responsibility. You were never meant to fight every battle. You were meant to know who fights for you. And when you step aside and let God work, the lessons he hands out are unforgettable. Your enemies won't admit it out loud, but trust. They felt it. They felt the delay, the closed doors, the mental unrest, the karma hitting with perfect timing. And that's the funny part. You didn't have to lift a finger. You just had to stay aligned. So next time someone tries to test your boundaries like you're soft, like you'll just let it slide, smile. Not because you're weak, but because you know something they don't. You know what happens next. You know the divine always defends its own. And Spirit Warrior, when heaven rolls up in Timbs, the whole battlefield clears out. Fast. Point 4. Your silence is misinterpreted as weakness. Chosen ones are observers. You already know that. You don't have to dominate a room with noise. Your presence alone speaks volumes. While others are trying to go viral, you're sitting in silence and still manage to take up the most space in the room. And that silence, it's deadly. Not because it's cold or cruel, but because it's powerful. It forces people to sit with themselves. And let's be real, most people can't handle that kind of mirror. Have you ever noticed how your silence unsettles people? It's because you don't give them anything to latch onto. No chaos, no gossip, no validation. You just exist, and that threatens every lie they've built about themselves. People are out here performing for attention while you're out here holding energy like a spiritual vault. And that's what makes them test you. They poke, they prod. They try to drag you into drama that was never meant for your frequency. But Spirit Warriors, we don't bark. We move differently. And when someone finally crosses the line, the universe doesn't always ask you to clap back. That's the divine part of being chosen. Sometimes your only assignment is to stay seated while heaven takes roll call. And when it does, the hands that rise to defend you, sometimes quietly, sometimes loudly, are ones the enemy never saw coming. Your strength doesn't always show up in the way people expect. Sometimes it's an elder who pulls someone aside and puts them in check. Sometimes it's a complete stranger who says, back off, they're protected. Sometimes it's a situation that flips so fast, your enemies are left dizzy and exposed. You didn't have to throw a single word, you didn't have to lift a finger, Spirit handled it. You see, silence isn't weakness. In spiritual warfare, silence is strategy. There's a reason warriors meditate before battle. There's a reason monks train in stillness. The chosen ones are tapped into that ancient code. Power is quiet, but it's never absent. There's a force moving through you that doesn't need to scream to be heard. It moves like a whisper with the weight of thunder. What most people don't understand is that your energy carries ancestral backup. You're not walking alone. You're moving with generations of warriors, prophets, protectors, and divine contracts that said, touch not my anointed. Your silence is their cue. And when someone dares to test you, it activates spiritual reinforcements. It's like sending out a cosmic flare. And trust, spiritual SWAT will show up. Ever heard of the term spiritual emissary? That's when someone shows up in your life just to protect you in a moment you didn't even realize was dangerous. That's not coincidence, that's divine alignment. The universe appoints people to shield chosen ones when the assignment is to remain unbothered. You were told not to fight back, not because you couldn't, but because someone else was appointed to handle it for you. And when the dust settles, everyone who came for you walks away knowing one thing. You're not to be played with, so don't ever doubt your power just because you didn't clap back. Your silence was never weakness, it was a signal. You gave them enough rope and heaven handled the rest. You may sit still, but the spirit warrior inside you moves nations. Keep observing, keep protecting your peace. Let them test you if they want, but remember, when they do, you won't need to defend yourself. The universe already hired security. Point 5, your light exposes darkness. Have you ever noticed how your presence makes shady people uncomfortable? That awkward silence when you walk in, the sudden shift in energy, the fake smiles trying to stay intact. It's not your imagination. That's spiritual physics at play. Your frequency speaks before you do. That's right. When a spirit warrior walks into a room, every hidden thing trembles. Why? Because light exposes what the dark has worked overtime to conceal. Your aura carries truth, healing, and raw authenticity. And when that enters a space where manipulation, ego, or secrets have been thriving, oh yeah, they start squirming. Here's where it gets deep. It's not just about personality. This is energetic. In psychology, there's a term called cognitive dissonance. When someone's beliefs or actions are challenged by truth, they get uncomfortable. Your energy creates that dissonance without a word. You might just be grabbing coffee or speaking your truth calmly, but your very existence activates something deeper in people. They start questioning themselves. They feel exposed even if you're not pointing fingers. That's the wild part. You didn't do anything to them. You just are. And that are carries divine weight. Spirit warriors don't come with subtle vibes. Nah, we bring shift, movement, conviction. Whether it's in your workplace, your family, your community, or even online, your light demands honesty. And while some people are inspired by that and start to heal, others resist. Hard, because healing requires truth. And truth can be painful for those who've been protecting their wounds with lies. Now let's talk about the protectors. Oh yes, they exist. See, being a light worker or spirit warrior doesn't mean you're walking around with incense and kindness 24/7. Sometimes your presence is so potent that others feel the need to protect you, especially when spiritual warfare manifests as emotional attacks, gossip, jealousy, or spiritual sabotage. And that protection, sometimes it's divine, sometimes it's human, and sometimes it's somebody who will throw hands if it comes to that. It's funny how people think being spiritual means being soft. Nope. Many warriors of light have roots in pain, betrayal, and spiritual battles that nearly broke them. They're forged, not fluffed. The reason your light is strong is because you've been through dark. That contrast is your power. You've done the shadow work. You've stared into the abyss and walked out glowing. So when you show up in your truth, people who are still running from theirs feel the heat. You become the mirror, the kind that doesn't lie. That mirror doesn't judge, but it does reveal. Some people are grateful for it, even if it stings. Others, they rage, they gossip, they mock. But here's the thing, when darkness lashes out, it's only because it's been seen. And when it gets loud, That's your cue that you're doing something right. You carry the medicine, Spirit Warrior, but not everyone's ready to take it. Some will spit it out, some will weaponize their discomfort, but others, they'll rise. Your light will plant seeds even in the most resistant hearts. So don't dim yourself to keep the peace. That's not your job. Your job is to shine, shift, and sometimes shake things up. So next time someone side-eyes you for just being you, remember this. You're not too much. You're just a walking truth bomb in a world addicted to masks. Keep showing up. Keep disrupting the illusion, because every time you do, more light leaks in. And darkness, it can't hide where you're standing. Point 6. You are a spiritual asset. You're not just anybody's Spirit Warrior. You are a force wrapped in flesh, a storm walking with peace, a spiritual frequency disguised in human form. You are a portal, not in the sci-fi sense, but in the divine sense. A portal to healing, to truth, to awakening. Your words open realms. Your energy shifts atmospheres. Your silence speaks sermons. That's why you don't just exist, you activate. And when you move through the world with that kind of vibration, you will be noticed, not always celebrated, but definitely felt. Some people feel you and get inspired. Others feel you and get irritated. Why? Because your existence confronts the slumber in theirs. See, being a Spirit Warrior means you're not just here to blend in, you're here to pierce through. That makes you a target, but not a victim. You weren't sent here unguarded. Divine reinforcements are always one whisper away. Spirit Warriors often have protectors in the most unexpected places, people who show up, speak up, or cover you, not because of loyalty or personal gain, but because of divine assignment. That barista who prayed over your coffee without you knowing. That teacher who looked out for you in middle school, that friend who shows up right when you're about to break. These aren't coincidences, these are spiritual bodyguards. Because when your life is anointed, your circle is angelically monitored. Let's be clear, you are purpose in motion. That means harming you isn't just a petty act. It's spiritual sabotage. It's not just disrespecting a person, it's interfering with divine order. That's why people who try to cross you without cause often find themselves entangled in unexplainable chaos. Not because you're vengeful, but because the energy that walks with you doesn't play about you. Messing with a Spirit Warrior is like trying to unplug God's Wi-Fi during a cosmic Zoom call. It's not going to happen, and if you try, expect some static. Energy responds to vibration, and yours? It's protected, coded, and encrypted with purpose. Science even backs some of this up. Quantum physics teaches us that energy cannot be destroyed, only transferred. Spirit Warriors operate on such high energetic frequencies that they unconsciously affect every space they enter. Ever noticed how a room gets quiet when you walk in? Or how people either open up to you immediately or avoid you entirely? That's spiritual polarity. You're either triggering healing or exposing resistance. You're either watering seeds or burning weeds, and neither one is comfortable for them. But here's the kicker. Even when they come for you, they can't touch you. Not really. Your armor isn't physical. It's spiritual. That's why you've survived things that should have shattered you. That's why every betrayal, every heartbreak, and every loss only made you more precise. You are here on divine orders. And because of that, your path is not just guided, it's guarded. Your mission can't be cancelled. Your light can't be dimmed. Your voice can't be silenced, even if they mute the mic. Because God built your signal into the atmosphere itself, so don't shrink, Spirit Warrior. Don't second-guess the weight you carry. You were never meant to play it small. You are thunder wrapped in humility. And every time you rise, your ancestors dance. Every time you speak truth, your angels roar. And every time you choose peace over pettiness, you align even deeper with your assignment. Remember, you're not just walking through life. You're walking portals through timelines, healing bloodlines, and shaking up realms. Keep going. You're not alone. You're backed by the entire kingdom. Point 7. The devil has tried and failed too many times. The attacks on your life didn't start yesterday. Spirit Warrior, hear this with clarity. You've been marked since the womb. Not for destruction, but for divine distinction. Before you even took your first breath, darkness knew your light was coming, and it's been plotting ever since. Every hardship, every betrayal, every almost that tried to break you. It was never random, it was targeted, strategic. But here you are, still standing, still breathing, still defying the odds. That alone should tell you, you are not ordinary, you are chosen, you are protected, you are dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. You see, when someone carries a divine assignment, The enemy doesn't wait until you've reached your full potential to strike. Oh no, he starts early. This is what spiritual scholars call prenatal warfare. Just ask Moses, just ask Jesus. Both had their lives threatened as infants because the enemy foresaw what they would become. You're no different. The enemy saw you as a threat before you even knew how to spell your name. Why? Because you're carrying something heavy, something holy, something hell can't duplicate. And don't think it's coincidence that you've had close calls with death, physically, mentally, emotionally, car accidents that didn't take you out, breakdowns that should have spiraled into madness, people who tried to bury your spirit with words sharp as knives, and yet somehow you walked through all of it with a resilience that can't be explained by human logic. That's the fingerprint of the Most High. That's evidence of divine backup. What's wild is how even now, when someone tries to come for you, maybe through slander, jealousy, or spiritual warfare, there's always a force, seen or unseen, that rises up. A random stranger might speak up in a room full of silence. A loyal friend may step in when you're too exhausted to fight. Or maybe you've felt it, that eerie chill that stops someone in their tracks, like an angel just dropped down in front of them and said, "Not this one. Try someone else." That's not fantasy. That's spiritual protocol. Because when you're chosen, heaven takes your enemies personally. The Bible says in Isaiah 54:17, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper." It doesn't say the weapon won't form, it will, but it will fail every single time, because the devil already knows who you are, and that terrifies him. That's why the attacks are so frequent, not because you're cursed, but because you're crowned. Let's break that down. The devil doesn't fight who's not a threat. He's not chasing after people who are spiritually asleep. He wants the warriors, the ones who wake up praying, the ones who walk with discernment, the ones who can enter a room and shift the entire atmosphere with their energy alone. That's you. And that's why you've been under fire your whole life. But there's good news. You're not walking alone. Your calling came with coverage, spiritual insurance. A whole battalion of angels has been assigned to your name. You've probably noticed how your enemies fall into their own traps, how gossip turns into their embarrassment, how what they try to use to destroy you ends up elevating you. That's the Most High turning your defense into a divine flex. So let them plot, let them whisper, let them try. But Spirit Warrior, know this. The reason they haven't succeeded yet is because they can't. God already said you're not going out like that. There's too much glory attached to your name, too much purpose to fulfill, too many souls to impact. And every failed attempt to destroy you is just another reminder. You're marked, not for death, but for destiny. So stand tall. Keep your armor on, and when you walk through this world, walk like someone who heaven defends, because you are. And every devil that dared to touch you, they're about to learn the hard way. Spirit warriors don't fall, we rise. Spirit warriors, let's set something straight. Not every battle requires your sword. In fact, some battles are already won by your mere presence. There's a unique power that follows those who are divinely chosen, and it's not always loud, flashy, or even visible. Your very existence disrupts darkness and commands attention. The moment you accept that you are walking in purpose, the unseen world responds. Forces of light begin to move. The spiritual realm, full of ancient laws and cosmic truths, recognizes who you are and sends protection in both subtle and dramatic ways. Call it divine orchestration, call it spiritual physics. Either way, it's real. In the Bible, Psalm 91 speaks of angels being commanded to guard you in all your ways. This isn't poetry, it's a spiritual law. When you're chosen, you're assigned guardians, some human, some angelic, and some energy-based. Ever wonder why people step in to defend you when you didn't ask, or why certain accidents mysteriously didn't happen? That's not luck, that's alignment. Being chosen isn't about ego or superiority, it's about responsibility, legacy, and light. It means you carry energy that can't be hidden, and because that energy disrupts the darkness, it attracts opposition. But here's the good news: the universe, or more specifically, God's will not allow you to be tampered with unchecked. There are consequences for anyone who lays a hand on you spiritually or physically. That's why strangers sometimes show up like they knew you their whole lives just to protect you. That's why, even in silence, your aura speaks louder than words. It sends out a frequency that lets every force, good or evil, know this one is marked, handled with care. You don't always have to clap back, raise your voice, or even explain yourself. Your shine is the signal, your peace is the protest. Your stillness is your sword. The spiritual realm doesn't reward noise, it honors truth. And truth doesn't need defending, it just needs walking. So keep moving with your head high. You're not arrogant, you're aware. You're not untouchable because you're tough, but because you're covered. Covered by grace, by destiny, by divine assignment. When people try to bring you down, test your patience, or provoke your energy, just remember this. You're not alone. And retaliation isn't your job, revelation is. Show them what it looks like to glow, not throw. That's real power, that's chosen energy. So stay woke on your journey. Spiritual awareness is key. You're not just flesh and bone walking the earth. You are light encoded with purpose. You carry a divine frequency that activates protection, movement, and transformation wherever you go. Whether you're aware of it or not, your life is watched, your path is guarded, and your mission is known by heaven. So don't dim down, don't fold, don't let the world make you forget who you are. Go out there and own that energy. Because when you walk in alignment, nothing and no one can mess with you without meeting a consequence. That's chosen status, that's warrior energy.